Greetings, chess fans. I'm Arturs Neiksans, the leading Latvian chess grandmaster, and I have prepared for you another episode of the video series Inside the Mind of a Chess Grandmaster. This is the third and final game that I played in the previous weekend in Sweden, Stockholm, the capital city. My opponent was Valery Kazakouski, one of the leading Lithuanian grandmasters, even though originally he's from Belarus, but he's been living in Lithuania for many years already. By the way, a very nice guy who also studies a master's degree in university. So I can relate to that. I also have an MBA degree. And we played this game on a Sunday. It was early morning, playing on top board. I was playing for Team Stockholm Rockaden, the many times Swedish champions, trying to get another gold medal. There you go. So I opened up with e4. Valery, he plays a couple of openings, but I had a feeling that he is gonna, for such a critical top board match, he is gonna want to play something solid like e5, because this is a team match. And very often in team events, the strategy is that the player with white, especially when you have equal players, is trying to win, and the player with black is trying to be solid. Yeah, this is how it works. And in this event, we have 8 boards. So naturally, the team consists of more players, but we can put on the playing field 8 players, and 2 of them can be foreign players. By the way, the other foreign player for Team Stockholm Rockaden is Jon Ludwig Hammer, the well-known commentator for some of the most influential chess streamers like Hikaru Nakamura. Anyway, I played here knight f3. Kazakouski played knight c6, and without a lot of thinking, I played bishop c4. It's not really a secret when it's a Sunday game. I want to play quiet chess. I want to keep it as simple as possible to give the chance for my brain to wake up. And I have a rule when I'm having a morning game. I try not to blunder anything within the first 2 hours. I drink a lot of coffee, I try to wake up, and then I get energy and I accelerate my speed. But here came the first surprise. Now, Valery, usually he will play the so-called Hungarian system. Now, this is what I was ready for. He will play knight f6, bishop e7, show castle, d6, and knight a5, and c5. So this is what the database would tell me. I checked a couple of his previous games. This is his favorite setup. I like it. I think it's very nice and solid plus for white. But my opponent here surprised me big time. He played d6. And I'm thinking, I have never seen this move in my life. So the point is here, I know that bishop b5 and d6, the so-called, I think it was the Steinitz variation, it exists. So black wants to play bishop d7, and if I play something like d4, black takes it, knight takes on d4, he plays bishop d7, knight f6, bishop e7, he's slightly worse, but he's holding on. And that's why here after bishop b5, there's the so-called neo-Steinitz. Again, if I'm mixing up the variations, please forgive me, I don't normally play this line. And yeah, I was thinking, what's the difference if I play bishop c4? Can you play d6? Apparently you can. I'm pretty sure that Kazakouski knows what he's doing. So I'm thinking, what's the most principal move here? I gotta play d4. Well, after the game, Valery told me that apparently the best move is like knight c3, and then play like short castle, and maybe then play d4. But I mean, I figured if I can play d4 immediately, then I should do it. So the point is, he has to continue development. I was thinking maybe he can play like bishop g4 here. And I thought in the worst case scenario, I can just play c3. And he can never take on f3 and win the pawn on d4, because guess what, there's a scholar mate. Yeah, this deep was my consideration in the morning game. And then I thought the rest I'm going to figure it out. But now he played knight f6. And this move really surprised me. Because I was thinking, wait a second. Are we not getting the 2 knights variation here? Can I not play knight g5? Because this is obviously a big discussion right here. If he plays knight f6, I play knight g5, he takes on d5, black plays knight e5, the main move, there's knight e4 as well, there's b5 move as well, and I have the pawn on d2. So, what's the difference here? He plays d6, d4, knight f6. Can I do this now? Can I play knight g5? And if he plays like d5 again, like losing a tempi, take it? Obviously, he's not going to take on d5 because I know this trick. I mean, this is very basic. King f7, queen f3, and actually one of the strongest moves for white is to play d4. So I figured, I mean, I'm definitely going to have an extra tempi here, so this is probably just crushing. So this I knew. So I was pretty confident that he is not going to take on d5 and play knight takes on d4. And now what? So I know that there's a move d6, d6, queen d6, knight f7, queen c6, but I played this myself when I was a kid with a pawn on d2. So let me show you again. I played this when I was a kid from the black's perspective. I caught many players in this trap. d6, queen d6, knight f7, queen c6, knight h8, queen g2, rook f1, queen e4 check, bishop e2, hasta la vista. There you go, you're gone. Checkmate on the board. I won a lot of games like this. And obviously now I'm a grandmaster, and I'm thinking, what's the difference here? So can I still do this? Like, can I play d6 because the d pawn is gone? And probably he's gonna play queen c6 and queen g2. But I gotta tell you, there's a very weird feeling about this. It just stinks. This entire line stinks. I don't know, I don't like it, especially since I'm in no control here. I have an extra rook, but yeah, so big activity. I decided not to do it. I decided not to go knight g5. But if I don't go knight g5, then what can I do? So first feeling I had, I should take on e5. It's a morning game. I should try to get a nice, simple game. So he could have taken e5. I'm just winning something. So he could have do that. If he takes on e4, there's at least the bishop f7 and queen d5. So he couldn't do it. So I figured probably he's going to take for the pawn. He's going to take for the knight. And if I take on e5, he can take on e4. But even bishop d6, take on e4, and I have nothing. And I was spending like 15 minutes, 20 minutes on looking at this, and I'm thinking, should I call it a day? Because I'm pretty sure if I'm going to go here, we're going to trade every single piece. We're going to make a grandmaster draw within 1 hour, drink a lot of coffee, exchange stories, etc. I'm thinking, no way. No way I'm going to do this. I'm here to fight. Especially since my opponent played such a taunting variation. I play d5. Actually, why d5 and why not something like c3? Because I was not sure how to validate things after bishop g4. Like, he wants to play bishop e7 and show castle. If I go here, he plays knight e7. I don't know what is this. So, one thing I knew about these Italian games, that engine in similar positions, it really likes to move d5. It's very paradoxical. I knew this from I think it was from the Ray Lopez. Like here, d6, let me try to remember, I might not remember it. Like c6, here, I think it was like here. d5, knight e7, trade, c4, knight c3, blah, 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 blah. So I knew this, that we basically transposed the King's Indian defense. So I was thinking, you got it. Let's play King's Indian defense. And I was mainly expecting that my opponent is going to play knight e7. Like, this is the standard retreat for the knight in the King's Indian defense. I want to go here. He goes here, I play c4, he goes here, I play knight c3, he goes here. So he wants to play knight e7, knight c5, and f5. And I thought I actually could even castle the long side. Like, I could play like h3, I could play like g4, And bishop c2, and after f5, trade couple of times to the 5, long castle, rook g1. There you go. And I thought I'm actually pretty smart, because as far as I could remember, Valery doesn't play the King's Indian defense at all. So I don't think he's really well prepared in this line. And yeah, even in this line, I was thinking, okay, maybe h3, g4 is a bit too much, but I can even do this. And here, and bishop c2 and castle long, and h4 and whatever. So I anticipate a 5 and I'm gonna ignore it. Basically, if you want to take on e4, you can take it. Yeah, like this, and I don't mind it. So that was my thought process. Until he played knight e8. Which is a very reasonable move. And now I'm having memories from a different line. Somehow I remember that engine in that line, after bishop d3, knight e7, c4, knight c5, I cannot retreat with the bishop because he wins the pawn. Somehow I remember that engine really likes this for black. It's a bit paradoxical because the position is closed and black has traded his supposedly good knight for my bad bishop, but it's all about the f5 idea later. The position is going to open up and I'm going to miss the last with bishop. Really, I'm going to miss it. So I'm thinking, I don't want to do this. What's the alternative? So how do I protect the pawn on e4 and play c4 while keeping my last square bishop? I play queen e2. I was thinking this is a very interesting way to get the same position even though I'm committing myself to queen e2. I was also considering maybe it makes sense to play knight c3 and play a4. This feels like some Philidor position. The castle's here, he plays c6 probably, I play a5, gaining space, but pretty much inevitably it leads to the neither positions. Like I cannot take on d5 the knight, the pawn on e4 drops, there you go. And it's probably okay for white, because I have the pawn majority at the queen side, but he will definitely get a lot of play at the king side. And I was not really in the mood to do this. So what I decided to do, I decided to play queen e2. So if he here plays something like bishop e7 or g6, I go here, I play c4, and we just transpose to the king's Indian defense position. So now what happens? He played knight e7. Engine here surprised me big time. Engine said, look at this. Engine suggestion. Me and Valery, after the game we discussed that we are considering also c6. But the point is, after d takes, do you remember this? So the point is, after b takes on c6, I play knight g5, d5. I looked at this, I looked at this, and I looked at this. I'm winning a pawn. So bishop e7, trade, and then we're retreat to the queen. All I'm seeing is the extra pawn. I mean, sure, black has some activity, but I mean, I have an extra pawn, and he has a weak pawn on d5. Engine says, black has a full compensation for the pawn. If you say so. I mean, this was one of the first things about the game I did not understand. Yeah, like, is this such an obvious compensation? No, not to me. Not at all. I mean, I have no weaknesses. I have castle short. A pawn is a pawn. Alright, maybe. So c6, he also looked at, didn't really believe it. Oh, sorry, yeah, here. We need to. And again, I cannot kind of play... Yeah, I cannot play bishop d7, bishop d3. He's going to go here. I mean, maybe I could have. Ah, wait, yeah, this was the line. Bishop b5, bishop d7, takes. My pawn on e4 is under attack, and I was thinking, maybe I get the time to get a nice, quiet positional game, castle short, knight e2, knight b3, kick away the knight, and play against the bad bishop. But he plays queen g4. And maybe this is still okay, by the way, but I was not sure. Like, maybe I can do like this, and whatever, some gambit, but where's the follow-up? Like queen b5 or something. Yeah, maybe queen b5 and I'm somehow doing okay. But I just did not feel like this is the right way to play. So I instead decided to be smart. I'm going to castle short. If he plays knight c5 now, I give a check, I trade the bishops, I play knight c3, and you see there's no more queen g4 because I can always protect the pawn. And if he does something like this, I can just get a nice, quiet advantage because I have space advantage and he has a bad bishop against a good bishop. So this is what I wanted. My opponent also was pretty smart. He played bishop e7, not g6, bishop g7, because it's like one tempi more. Now I play bishop d3. Yeah, again, here engine says that I could play like a4, I could play a5, he would play like the Philidor. And again, c takes, we get to the same neither flag positions, which engine gives white some small advantage, but to be honest, it's just sharp. So I added bishop d3. I want to play c4 and knight c3 and avoid a bishop trade. He went knight c5, and now I play bishop b5. So again, you see, both of us, we're trying to accomplish what we want. I want him to play bishop d7, and then play knight c3 and have this quiet game. And he played king of fate. Now, that's a move I expected, but I just did not really believe that it's a possibility. And actually, both of us, we also saw that he can play c6 and sacrifice the pawn. And engine here says, I play knight e2, because the point is, he plays rook b8 and he has bishop a6 ideas. I'm slightly underdeveloped. Here. According to an engine, black has a full compensation. I mean, sure, black is down a pawn, but he's very active. He wants to play stuff like f5, e4. But it's a pawn. Again, right? Not easy. So he saw this, he just wouldn't believe it. Like, this is working. I also saw this. It kind of makes sense because white is committing many moves for the bishop. How many moves was it? Bishop c4, bishop d3, bishop b5. How many moves was it? Let me again check it. Yeah, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Yeah, I'm spending a lot of moves with the bishop. Anyway, after bishop b5 check, he played king of fate. And he really wants to get my bishop. That's the idea, right? He wants me to play bishop d3, and then he can like take it, and maybe play h6, g6, king g7, and trick me with this move order and play a5 ultimately. So what I decided to do, I decided to play knight e2. And I thought I'm very smart. Because I'm protecting the pawn, I want to play immediately f4. The king is on a fate, and I'm opening up the file. Apparently, engine thinks it's a very interesting idea to play b4. That's a move I didn't even see. Because the point is here, I play bishop d3, I'm trapping the knight. He plays c6, and now I think I can just stop it, yeah? Like, the point is here, after bishop e4, c takes, here e4. What on earth is this even position? How to evaluate it? I have no idea. If I take on c6 first, he plays d5. Yeah, what is this? What is this? Yeah. I have no idea again, like a complete mess on the board, but we can't really deny that black is very dynamic. I think he would take it after like 20-minute calculation, but I didn't even notice before at all. It just makes no sense for me. So I played knight e2 here, and by the looks of the facial expressions of Valery, I could see that he doesn't like this move. Yeah, like very often you can read the opponent. It just feels like a very unpleasant move. So let's say he will play like here. Then I want to play b4 and bishop b2, and f4 is incoming. So he can't really stop it, and this diagonal is opening up. So let's say he decides to kill my bishop. A6, let's say like this, yeah, and he takes it and he plays g6. I play f4, I play rook f4, b3, bishop b2 again. I mean, he has problems. So that's why here he decided, to play a6. I played first bishop c4, provoked the opponent to play b5, Because if I play bishop d3, he has a lot of dynamic options, maybe like c6. But if I play bishop c4, and now he plays c6, my bishop is still standing pretty great on c4. So he plays b5, I play bishop d3, and now c6 kind of loses power because he cannot recapture the pawn. So the pawn on b5 might be something that he would be willing to retract. So if he takes on b3 and plays g6, I can go here and I can go here. That's a big hole because of the b7 move included, and f4 is incoming. So I was pretty sure I'm much better here. Maybe even d4, like b3, bishop b2, d4 looks very good. So he plays c6, which was a surprise. I mean, this entire game we're mainly just surprising each other all the time. And I realized I have to take on c6, I have no other option. He played queen b6. I played knight b3, the move that made really sense to me. And mostly I was expecting that he's going to play either queen c6 or bishop g4 first. Let's say queen c6, I take on c5. He takes with a pawn, at least I thought it makes sense. I play c4, I develop the pieces, and I play f4. So from afar I saw something like this, and I thought I definitely have the attack because he has problems with the king safety. And I also was thinking that he could include bishop g4, so the point is I need to watch out for this long diagonal. I play queen e3, probably, again I take on c5, again I play c4, and maybe my queen is a bit weird here, on e3, but I still play b3, bishop b2, I play f4. Again, I keep some advantage, maybe not a lot, but some. But here he surprised me big time, because he took on b3, and took on c6. And I was thinking, no way. No way this is good for black. Because I have f4 right now. The king's on f8, and I have the open a file right now. And I have knight c3, knight e5 ideas right now. So there's no way this is good. So I was thinking this position would be probably playable if the pawn was standing on b7, not weakening the queenside pawns. But here, maybe it was playable with the pawn on a3 or a2, but not on b3. So I played f4, which made sense. And guess what? When I switched on the engine after the game, my eye was just, what idea I just missed here? So I could have played c4. That's a move I saw because I want to play knight c3, knight e5. I want to win the pawn on b5 and whatever. But clearly I rejected it because of b4. So I'm losing the c3 square for the knight. And in the future, he wants to move like here. Like this is a typical Sveshnikov idea. Or maybe knight e7, knight c5, great knight, great bishop, and whatever. So I was thinking, why would I even include this move if I could have played knight c3? So I stopped it. Do you know what the engine suggests? Just give up a pawn. Just like that. c5. Just to gain the c4 square. And let's say if he takes with a queen, bishop e3, knight e2, and somehow this is great. I mean, very concretely, I'm jumping in knight c4, knight b6, I'm winning the pawn on a6, and I'm dominating the squares. And apparently he has no time to play g6, king g7. Okay? If you say so. And also, d-rex on c5 is just, I just play positionally, like knight e2, knight c4, f4 is incoming, beautiful knight, beautiful bishop. So engine even says g5 has to be played. Okay. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't even dream about this, but now at least I'll know the idea. So what I did, I played f4. I played f4. He played h5 because he has to secure the king on g7. If he does it earlier, there's going to be always bishop h6 check. So h5 secures the h6 square with the rook. And also he wants to play like h4, h3, initiate some counterplay at the king side. This is a typical Khan idea, Sicilian Khan, Sicilian Tamanov idea, which is something I've played myself for many, many years with the black's perspective. From the black's perspective, another question is how to play. Should I play knight c3 and h3, or should I play h3 and knight c3? You're probably wondering, what's the difference? Actually, there is a difference. So I play knight c3, which is not accurate, because after h4, h3, this didn't happen in the game. So this is the typical idea from the Khan and Tamano positions. I thought I played queen f3, I'm doing great. So takes, he kills my strong bishop. And I saw from afar, I play knight e5, I'm doing great. So I'm thinking like, if he wins this pawn, it's fantastic, the king is weak, obstacle bishops, extra piece in the attack, blah blah blah. But the point is, he actually gives a check. I just plays bishop f6, and he's very, very secure. Now this is what I did not understand. By the way, even this position is still not very clear. I could sack the exchange on f6 maybe and expose the king. But it's not easy anymore. So apparently, the accurate move was h3 first. And after h4, play queen f3 first. So there's no knight h5 because I just take on e5, there's a mate threatening. And if you play bishop e6, that's a different story. So I didn't pay attention to these small nuances. I played knight c3. He also missed it. He played here. Now I play h3. We arrive to the same position. He played g6. And I'm sitting here and wondering, I have so many great choices here. So choice number one, I really want to play 5. Really want to play 5. Completely expose the king. Like he takes, bishop c8, he wants to go here, he wants to go here. Maybe rook g8, also hit the pawn on g2. So I go here, I want to fight for these squares. He goes here, check, and he plays d5 next. But what I missed from afar is queen f2. And I control the d5 square, I'm blocking all the light squares, I'm doing great. Also, there's another idea. He can play b4. Sorry, I think it was here. Intermezzo move. I have to go here. He gives a check and sacrifices the exchange. What is this even? Now he gives up the pawn on e4, king g7. Ancient says equal. Completely equal. I mean, black is down in exchange, equal. Yeah, the pawn on b2, the strong bishop at f6, chill. Everything is good. Even h4 is incoming to fix white's pawns at the king side. I was like, I'm not that level. When I saw this after the game analysis with the engine, I also was thinking about f takes on e5, which is ultimately what I played in the game. And I really want to play queen f3 to improve all of these ideas like f takes or f5 or bishop g5, etc. But I dropped it because of b4. So I was thinking, I mean, naturally I'm gonna go knight e5. So I go here, and he plays d5. Now this is what I saw. If I take it, he takes with the bishop. If I take it, he takes it here. And why I'm even better here? So I dropped it. I switch on the engine. The dear engine says, you can play knight e5, it's all good. So the point is, after knight x on d5, no, you don't take the knight, you play f5. What? So g takes, e takes, just give up the knight, it's all good. And after bishop c8, bishop e4, it's all good. And just rook d1, you're gonna get it back with some positional benefits. I was like, what? What is this even? Yeah, I'm like, I didn't even look in this direction. Wow. Just wow. Yeah, like, I'd never seen this idea before. Yeah. So, I decided to take on e5 and play bishop g5, which was a bit risky move. Again, it was based on miscalculation, really, because I thought after king g7, queen goes here, I have a pressure, but I simply missed. There's a check and knight g4. And black is perfectly fine. Maybe even positionally he's doing better. But my opponent didn't notice it. He played knight e7. I decided to trade the bishops. And for the longest time, I was thinking, when is the right moment to play knight e5? Because if he doesn't take it, I want to go knight f6. I want to trade it. I want to put the rook on f1. I want to put the queen on g5. And maybe there's something there. I mean, sure, I have a bad bishop, but I mean, he has so many docks weaknesses. But the point is, I was not really sure in any moment what happens if he takes it and just plays queen d6. So he is blocking me in all the dark squares, like this position. What is this position? So without the queens on the board, I can just resign. Like, he's gonna play king d6, e4, knight c5, just dominate me in the dark squares. So we have the queens on the board. But is it enough? And what if he just puts the king on g7? Do I have to sack the bishop in f5 at some point? And I was looking at this, and my belief was that the cost of the mistake here is very high. So if I miscalculate this, I'm in trouble. If I don't play active enough, I'm in trouble. I don't like such positions. So I like to keep some control. So I decided to improve my position a bit. I played queen e3, I played rook f2, I played rook f1, trying to apply some pressure. And I was playing with a feeling I'm still better. Like, I definitely knew that my pieces are quite passive with the queen side, but because of this pressure the queen side, I felt I'm in charge. So he played queen c5, he played here, I tried to somehow get the knight on f5, even though I need to watch out for the queen, not to get trapped. He went here. Queen d4, by the way, was a pretty annoying move with knight c5. He went here. I tried to, again, rearrange my pieces. We're shuffling the pieces here and there. Time scramble was approaching. I played bishop f3. And I thought I had finally come up with a plan to rearrange my pieces. So I want to put the knight on e3, play bishop g4, trade the bishop, and then with the knight, somehow get to the weaknesses. He obviously tried to stop me. I played here. Suddenly he became very aggressive. He played b4. I played knight b1. And now the critical moment. There you go. I thought that maybe my opponent has committed to inaccuracy. Because I will play knight e2. I will play bishop c4, attack the pawn, put the knight on f3. This knight is getting into g5. So I have very good chances to take over the game. And if he plays like knight e6, I'm taking the pawn on a6, putting the bishop on c4, and we'll see. Do you know what the engine says? Black is privileged and plays for the advantage of the queen c5. Like, I cannot trade the queens. My extra pawn doesn't matter at the queen side, and black is incredibly active. And if I go here, black just anchors the knight on f4, just like that. In this position, it just looks terrible. I mean, I'm somehow holding on, like queen e1, knight e2, bishop c4, but black is very active. And my initiative at the king side is gone. So I play bishop e2. I was feeling pretty optimistic. This is move 35. I had maybe 3 minutes on the clock to reach the next time control. After move 40, we would get half an hour. My opponent had slightly more. Now he decided to make this move f5. Now, when you're seeing this move, like takes and takes, if I would ask you the question, how do you feel about this position from the black's perspective? It feels very active, right? Because black wants to play knight e4. Black wants to play f4. Black wants to play bishop c6, etc. It feels very active. But you know one thing? Chess is a very concrete game. And concretely here, black has none of those moves. So, there's no knight e4. There's no bishop c6, the pawn drops. Most importantly, there's no f4. I just take it. You see the queen on e7 is pinned. You can't do it. Alright, if you can't do it, what is your next move? So I already saw my opponent is reaching for the rook, like rook h6, but he didn't touch the rook because he realized it's bishop g4. Suddenly the rook on f8 is under attack. What do? Like, this pawn is under attack. f4 is rook f4 again. How do you defend it? Do you go here? What about queen g5? You see what I'm getting at? The problem is the black king is very weak. And actually here the engine says bishop b5, somehow black is okay. There's some whatever line, yeah, and White is pushing, white gets 2 pawns for the exchange, the king is still weak, and the engine says, chill, it's equal. Okay, if you say so. So finally, when I was looking at these possibilities, I realized there's only one move for black that makes sense, and he made it. He's a very good player. He played king g6, securing the pawn on f5. Also hinting at some future ideas of queen g5, but of course he cannot do it immediately because the knight on c5 is under attack. I need to make a move, and here, a very big moment. So this is move 37. I need to make 3 more moves. I have like 2 minutes on the clock. And I'm thinking, can I play rook f4? Can I play rook f4 and hit a pawn on b4? Like, can I play c3, a5, takes, and rook f4? And I'm afraid this is move 40. So I'm hitting the pawn, he cannot take it, but he might play e4, and what is my rook doing at f4? I mean, under 96 threat? I'm not sure I understand it. So I decide I need to get to the next time control. I play bishop d1 with the idea to play bishop c2, hit a pawn on f5, and I'm very positive he's going to repeat the position. And he did. He played bishop b5, bishop e2, and bishop d7. There you go. Now I'm safe. I have reached the next time control, extra 30 minutes, and I'm thinking, should we call today? Because I have a feeling I have messed up. I had a very large advantage before. And it's disappointing, of course, again, not to win with white. But there's a risk. But then I start to pay attention to the position and I realize, no, I want to play it on. I want to continue. So I decide to take it and play rook c1. So engine, by the way, says rook f4 is more accurate. And after e4, play knight f3. But yeah, maybe. The knight on d4 is coming and he has never time for knight e6, perhaps. But I thought that rook c1 also looks very logical. So I'm hitting the knight. And notice he has, again, no time for f4. He has no time for knight e6, the pawn drops. Just no good squares for the knight. So he had to go here, and now I play rook c4. So again, there's no f4. I'm just hitting the pawn. And if he plays bishop b5, I take it. There's no knight e3, no nothing. There's no tricks. It just doesn't work. Like, I always have rook b6 check. For example, takes, knight e3, the queen on b4 is hitting the rook. I always have rook b6, collect the knight. Adios, amigos. That's it. So he can't do it. And he sat here for a long time. He came up with the best move, that you have to give up the pawn on b4. It's gone. So I collected it. I made sure there's no tricks. And now, the critical moment. So, engine says that black has to play knight that you have to play knight e6 with the idea to play queen g5, get the queens off the board. Then those central pawns, they're going to become really strong. I go here. He gives me a check and plays queen g5. But even this position, like, okay, I probably cannot retreat with a queen. Maybe queen d4 is a move, I don't know, and just keep the position incredibly complex. He cannot take the queen, obviously, there's a pin. But what if I just go here, walk away from the pin, and yeah, if he takes on e3, I take with the knight, and I'm just having a very nice blockade, and I just have an extra pawn, by the way. Bishop c4 is incoming as well. And here, engine somehow keeps equality with some freak rook c6 and queen b6. But visually, it just feels that white is much better. Engine says white is slightly better. So this was his best bet to continue. And instead, he played rook e8, which is a normal move. Like, he protects the pawn on e4, protects the queen, and he wants to play like queen g5 at some point. Which, by the way, he could play queen g5 immediately, there's a check. And after knight d6, I don't remember, what, maybe queen d4. But maybe we just transposed to the same position, not really sure. I think engine was hating this position. So he went here. But unfortunately for my opponent, I instantly sense there's something wrong with this position. Now, if you want to solve this position as a puzzle, you can pause here for a moment. why to play and win. I saw this instantly, the idea, and I think the reason is that I have done many puzzles, so I recognize the pattern recognition right away. So what I did, I played check. He can't move the king. Queen h6 is going to be incoming. 96 just is asking for trouble. I mean, if there is no checkmate, I don't know how a checkmate looks like. With bishop d3 incoming. So his only move is rook c6, really. And now comes the shot. Takes, takes, and if you're really good with your tactical vision, check. That's it. So the point is, he can't not take it. I'm just going to win the rook. And after rook f5, rook c5, I'm just winning. That's it. And when I had this on the board, I thought, this is it. He's got to resign. I mean, I have 2 extra pawns. He has a weak king. No counterplay whatsoever. I have more time on the clock. I thought, he's definitely going to resign. He's not resigning. He plays on. So he definitely was fighting with the urge to resign because, I mean, he just blundered. There's no hope. And he just plays on. And I want to finish off the game right away. But I don't see how. I mean, I want to go for the mate, like knight c4, knight e5, whatever. He plays queen f6. And there's some checks in f1 or bishop, whatever, and I don't see a way to make progress. So I decided, okay, whatever. I'm just going to win the pawn on e4. So if he does something like queen f6, I'm just taking, and I'm taking, and knight f3, trade queens, it's just easy. The simpler the better. He played bishop f5. And I thought, there you go, that's a win. So rook c6, king f7, and I thought queen h6, there you go, definitely should be a mate. So if he plays e3, I give a check, I collect it, might feel risky to you, but it's just a check, just a check, just a check, king f8 is a mate, and queen g7, I just collect the rook. And I thought the game is going to finish like this, so I'm giving him the opportunity to lose in style, basically. And he plays king g8. I like, wait, what? Where's my win? I don't see my win. Where's my win? And I really want to continue like rook f6 to repeat the same line with e3, rook f5. He just plays bishop h7. And let's say I go here and he plays e3. And he plays e2. And how this is an easy win? It's not. It's not an easy win. So I was like, okay. Go back. Yeah, go back. I messed it up. Yeah, I shouldn't have played queen h6. Now let's try to restructure the position. Now he puts the bishop on h7. And I realize I'm not easily getting the pawn on e4. All right, here we go. So I have to find a way to simplify the position. If I play queen g5, I'm simply allowing his pawn to activate. e3, e2. I'm not in time to block it. I cannot do it. So I realized, okay, let's try this knight c4 and solidify my position. So the game continues for a while. He's very stubborn, avoiding any trades. Now I decided to put the king on g1 to avoid some checks on this long diagonal. Rook f7. I just could not find the way to simplify the position. So I'm thinking I definitely should play b4, b5, b6, etc. at some point. But I'm already starting to burn time of my next time control. And I'm approaching like 5-minute mark. So I decided to play a bit simpler chess. Rook d1, going for cheapos. b3, secure everything. King h1, again, walk away from some checks. Try to attack the king on h7. He plays rook d8, provoking me to play rook a7. Like here, I'm not sure what it does. Like he plays king g8, and where's the killing blow? My own king is weak. I need to watch out. So I decide to offer a queen trade. He rejects. I go back. And here finally comes the critical moment. So he plays rook d3. He senses he has an opportunity. Actually, the big threat is not to win the pawn on b3. The big threat is rook h3. So if I am not very careful, this is a perpetual check. Oh wait, yeah, it's a perpetual check. Even more, I mean, he can collect the rook on e1. And if I go here, check here. Actually, maybe. No, I don't think I can escape it. There's always a check on d3. So, I mean, I saw this idea, rook h3, and the idea is that even if you think there's no perpetual check, why would you give black this opportunity in a dead-lost position? So I play knight e5. No, there's no rook h3 because the f3 square is covered. He went here, and again, I really want to go here, knight g4, but there's this check. And again, it's not so clear. Check here and check and collect the knight on g4, the game continues. So I realized I couldn't do it. I mean, Jon Ludwig, after the game, said that king g1 is winning. But I mean, come on, this is not an easy technique. So I decided to give a check on c7. He gonna go to h6. I thought he has to play queen g7. And I'm gonna trade a lot of things. And now it's very important here to be in time to play king g1. At least I thought so. Because if I'm inaccurate, this position might be quite tricky to win. Because my king is cut off and I basically will need g3 in order to activate the king. Without the king, I cannot win the game. But yeah, here I'm just in time. Probably. Like, check, here, check, here, check, here, here. You can definitely sense there might be some technical issues with this position. You know, I have seen people misplaying even better positions than this. I mean, it's winning, but you need to show technique. But he didn't play queen g7. I think I would have declined the queen trade. After queen g7, would have played something else. But he played here. So I just decided, okay, but let's just simplify the position. Play queen e5. Queen e4, win the pawn, collect the pawn on h4. And finally, my opponent resigned. And oh boy, this was such a tense game. We played 71 moves in total. So I was very, very happy because after some longer time, I had finally beaten a very strong, ambitious player, grandmaster of my strength. And after the game, I was really surprised to learn that we had won the match with 7.5 against half a point. I know it was amazing, our best score in the last years or so. I mean, this is a very good team we played against, and yet we scored 7.5 against half, and it could have been 8-0. Just incredible. Everybody showed up for the Sunday game. And yeah, I mean, we chit-chatted with Valery a bit after the game. We also flew the same plane back to Riga because he was flying back to Vilnius, a connecting flight to Riga. And we exchanged a lot of ideas about the variation. He says, I mean, this line with d6 is actually pretty interesting. It's relatively unexplored. He said he's been following some recommendations by Michal Marin, but he expanded the analysis of his own, and he said it's playable. It's really playable. It's interesting. I've never seen it before, but I suppose it follows the rule. You can play whatever variation you want, but if you know it really well, it works, right? That's it. That's all I have you for today. If you enjoyed my lengthy analysis, 48 minutes and going, so please press like. Congratulations if you made it to the very end, but I thought these ideas are very interesting, fascinating concepts. Please press like for the video if you enjoyed it, and of course, please subscribe for my channel. I need every single subscriber for my channel as I'm trying to grow as a content creator. So this is it. All my games from Sweden are done. There's going to be more games in March. I will be playing in more international chess leagues. But for the moment, thank you for watching. I'm signing off.